Hey, it's Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Wednesday, April the 3rd. Today, great trading day. You can see this perfect setup kind of across here, or perfect trend channel down through here. Um, it's about a 45-degree angle, so it sets up really, really nice, and you can see that the best trades were the ones that came off the trend channel. And once they did, they moved, or the trend line, they moved really fast, and there wasn't much, there wasn't much other great chance to enter. Um, it was really, and I'll talk about a couple of these trades, especially here. I'll explain these to you, and we'll talk about them as well. And you might have even made this one green because we weren't back to the trend line yet, and you can see we didn't go very far. We really were in a trading range here, and so this was kind of trading range rules based on this entry right here. But we'll talk about each of the trades. The first really decent setup was early this morning, just after the open. It's a second entry short. We're trending down. I drew the trend line off the first couple. I had it a little steeper to begin with, but I changed it once we were here. And you really could have almost drawn a trend line kind of off those lows like so. Um, and you might have even got, at first I was thinking this was probably the channel, but once we started kept going down lower, I just moved it to the next spot. And we finally got an overshoot here. And really you might have even could move it to there. Um, but I really think this is it right here, because we got our first reaction. We went through it, we overshot it, then we got our correction, then we bounced off of it again, and we finally got a break right here. We've got a couple of legs to a new low, and we're finding support again. Um, it really wouldn't surprise me if we didn't continue and maybe making another leg down this low, but it wouldn't surprise me either right here if we didn't go higher. Um, or at least go into a correction of some kind. But this is a correction here as we corrected to the other side. But the fact that we couldn't go higher was a good sign that we were probably going to go lower once we touched the trend line, um, because generally you would see prices turning up to go towards the trend channel line, like it's trying to go higher here, you can see, but it ends up kind of doing another little range similar to that one. So but let's talk about the trades. This is a second entry short. We kind of had a support resistance line. You can kind of see this line. I've got it drawn over there. It was acting as resistance a little bit yesterday, then acted as support, and it came into play during the overnight. I originally had it. I moved it down here, but it probably should be more right there. But I moved it down when we made those lower highs, but I believe that to be uh, the correct spot for that line right there. And you can see it was support, and then it was acting as resistance. We broke higher in the overnight, which is not common. We got below the EMA. We came back up and tested, and we tested that trend line and this. So you kind of had a little double support, and it was a little iffy entering there because of um, all the overlap. But it's a second entry short, and that's a very bearish bar right there. Close on it's very low, and you can see it took a minute kind of to work through, and then it started down. And do you know it's going to do this? No. Uh, my thinking was just, what you want to do is you want to get out. Um, you just want to be able to scalp out before you get to these lows down here. And I actually entered below the little doji right there. So I got a one tick improvement off that one, and this thing was off to the races. And um, you can see this. Did I know it was going to do this? No. And really there's there's a new low there, so first entry. So that's a second entry short off the EMA. But the reason why I don't have that marked is because you moved so low. The odds of this thing moving down like this are not very good. It did it, excuse me. Excuse me, it did go down, but you can't be entering here really. It is a kind of a two-legged pullback to the EMA. If you saw it and you took it, it worked. But as tempting as I was to enter right there, I did not do it. I stuck to the rules because we were way oversold, and we did get a big move down. But that's why I didn't mark any of these trades in here until it was obvious that we kind of had, once we had this double top in place and we had a triple bottom, then it was obvious we were doing trading range here, and the trend is down, so I was looking for reasons to go short. Nice little doji there, so a real small stop to get in that trade, and you know, it worked on down to a new low, and you can see that, and then it came back. And so they're really, once, you really don't want to be entering in here in the middle of this stuff. And it was tempting almost to go long right there. But this is a good example of why you don't counter trend trade. Because if you go long right there, I don't think that would have worked. I almost went long there. 58.50. And you see it would have been a 4-tick failure. And they protected that right there. Notice how you got four, 1, 2, 3, 4 bars that all have equal highs right there. Of course, I was in here, and they almost shook me out of this thing. When it bounced right here, I almost exited. Um, but I held on, and it went on, it went on down, and I was able to exit this trade. Um, I exited my runners down here. When this stopped right here, I just went ahead and exited my runners and got out of that. But guess what? Then you got a two-legged correction back to the EMA and the trend line again, and look at this setup right here. You can't ignore that. Great setup. Opened on its high, closed on its low, so you could have gone. It was. Normally, I would say this would be very risky to enter right here. Uh, and if you didn't enter there, you had another chance to get in here. But this is coming off the trend line. That's why I'm always saying you got to wait for the key entry points for the best entries, because that's where the huge moves come from. And that's why you wanted to get in on this move. And look at it. It goes all the way down to the low side again, and that's where it bounces. And this is just a breakout pullback short. I don't like these trades as much, but on a big trend day like today, uh, you just about have to enter that. That's a second entry short coming off the trend line. Um, a lot of times you'll pull back and test that line again. But today the market's just too weak and it's sold off, and you see we're still struggling to go higher. This is why you don't buy on days like this. There's trades that work, but you better be careful counter trend trading on a day like this, because this has been a bearish right from the open, the regular open, really from the overnight from 4 o'clock. It's been all downhill, and you can see that. And so, don't be counter trend trading, because, you may get lucky, but the odds are you can get trapped on the wrong side. And there's probably some people that went long right there that weren't paying attention to this trend line, and they got trapped. And guess what? Off to the races. So that's another reason I like that, because it's a long trap. Because there's some smart traders that'll get trapped here thinking they're smarter than everybody else, trying to catch a failed breakout and ride it back up again in this little range. And guess what? They got trapped. And so you're better off to take the shorts off the high side and leave the longs alone. And if we were going up, it'd be just the opposite. But we're coming down, and the trend is down. So you want to be looking for shorts. And this was the trade of the day right here. And this was not a bad entry right here, because guess what? Any runners are still safe, and you're way down here. So if you got in up here, let me just show you what a single runner could do for you. You get in at 1565, and we're on the very lows at 1551. So 14 points on a single runner. That's $700 on a single runner on a day like today. And we don't get a lot of days like this. So when you get one, when you get a big trend, you got to take it. And, try to hang on as long as you can. Those of you that are more swing traders, this is where you make all your money on days like this. If you're more of a scalper like me, I'm out. I'm out right here actually on my move down. And then I'm looking to re-enter, and this was the first chance I got to re-enter. And so I'm all out again, because I don't want to take a chance of it coming back. So then you get to enter again here, and you can add on here if you like, or you can enter here if you weren't brave enough to enter right there. But this is where the best entries are. Odds are you're going to get a scalp out of this at a minimum. And you can see it turned into a nice trade. And again, I'm exiting down here when we touch this. And you see, really what people ask me this all the time, but if you tend to do the same thing every time, it works out. It's when you try to pick and choose. So like if you say, okay, I'm going to exit on the touchdown here and it goes lower. So next time you say, okay, I'm going to hang on this time. And then guess what? You get stopped out up here and you give half your money back. So I exited here and I exited here, but I lost out on that, but I didn't give any back here. I got out at the very bottom of this move and then got a chance to enter back in again over here. And you really could have gone short here, but once you're coming off this little range here and you're going higher and you get a break of the trend line, you're better off to wait for a second entry, which didn't come till here. And they came back quickly and got your break-even stops on this one, unfortunately. So no chance to ride that one lower. And you really could have thought about entering again here, but I'm not going to enter in here because now we've had a break and we've got a couple of legs down. I'm looking for a really good setup, and you can see here's another second entry off the EMA and the trend line, and it's working too. And we may continue to just keep on going. So, but the later you get in the day and the later it is in the trend after a break, the bigger their chance is you could get trapped on the wrong side. So you got to be careful. And we've kind of been like this lately. All the move comes early, and then we kind of get choppy. And I thought that's what was going to happen here. We were going to just keep going until we got a break of the trend line and maybe make a new low and then bounce out of there. But we continue to just trend lower. And I want to talk about this one. This pattern really is a repeat of this pattern. Can you see that? And guess what? This pattern and this pattern are a repeat of this pattern. Notice you got this little choppy second entry short, and you got a little choppy second entry short off the EMA. And this is the same thing, really. You really get this pattern twice right here, a little choppy two-legged pullback off the trend line. So this one is like that one. And then here it is again. It didn't quite get to the trend line, but off the EMA. And like I said, this one I drew this one in green. And the reason is, and this will help you if you get your trend lines right and you get these kind of setups. There's not really a great short setup here. And notice we aren't back to the trend line. So that's a good enough reason to stay out. And guess what? Even though the short would have worked, it comes back and goes higher. And so that's the only thing that might alert you to that. If you think you got your trend line right, which there's no denying that's the proper trend line, is that we aren't back to it yet. So you got to get back to it, and then the move starts. And you can see we're still going lower here. And it wouldn't surprise me if we don't make another leg down like that one right there. And it looks like there's a good chance that could happen. So make sure that your best entries are always going to be the key entry points, which are off these trend lines. And you can see that real clearly every time we touch the trend line. That's where you get your big moves. Now you get some trades, some little scalps that work in between, but your big moves generally come off of those trend channel lines. And so that's, your trend lines and your bounces off. And you don't know when you bounce off your trend channel. If you tried to go long here, you probably got burned. And then you try to go long again. A scalp would have worked here, probably here. Actually, if you entered right there, no, you would have gotten trapped out probably, unless you kept your stop where you're supposed to. But you can't be doing that on a downtrend day like that, because we could have easily broke lower. This could have turned out to be the trend channel on the other side down here, which I don't think it is. I believe it's right here, and we just overshot it right here, kind of overdid it because the market was so weak. Not everybody, they trapped a lot of longs right here, people thinking a pullback. And they probably trapped longs here and here. And so, and they probably trapped them again here. Everybody trying to pick the bottoms, and instead just staying with the trend and making your money. And it's really hard to switch gears. I mean, notice we've been going up so much. Most of the stuff has been up, really, the best days. And so, notice just all these days the trend is up. Up there. This one was kind of down, but most of them are up. It's just kind of a range day, but a lot of the trades to the downside have been failing lately, and the bias has kind of been upward. And so it gets people, all it does is lull people to sleep thinking, Hey, I got to, I don't want to be shorting. And then guess what? You get a day like this and they miss every move. And then it finally gets, they watch all this move and they finally say, if it comes back to the EMA or a setup or a second entry, I'm going short. And guess what? They get trapped and they all get fooled and they all get to thinking it's long, and then suddenly it gets back over to the trend line and it resets and boom, off it goes where the smart traders want to enter. And then guess what? It's heading down again, and all these people that have been watching have probably got burned here and said, shoot, it's going down again, and they start getting in right in here or right in here on this big bearish bar, and then guess what? It bounces off the trend channel line and it heads back to the high side, and they're thinking, I missed it again. Well, I'm going to get short this time. And they start getting short here, but it hadn't got back to the trend line where everything resets. And then finally it gets over here and boom, off it goes. And you get a lot of people trying to buy in here because of the failed second entry short. And you see a scalp would have worked on that failed second entry short, but you won't see me taking it on a day like today. I'm looking to get short. If I take a trade like that, it's a mistake, even though it works. That shows you the power of traps, though. They work. And if you see one, you can just about always take them. So, and they'll work. But I'd stay clear of the counter trend trading. And so then all of a sudden it starts going again. And here we go. And they think, oh, we're going to the other side again. They finally figured out, and they get short right in here, and they get fooled again. And they get, look, that was a long trap, a second entry long right there after a failed break below this kind of support area right here. That's a huge bullish looking bar, and guess what? All it did was trap people, and then boom, off to the races it goes to the downside. And it got them again. And I guarantee you, some of y'all watching got trapped to the long side all the way down through here, when all you had to do was sell. And guess what? You can sell in here and be early and still be okay. If you sold here and didn't scalp out, as long as you kept your stop above that, look, it never went back above that, and you still would have been okay. You could have sold right here. Your scalp would have still been good, even, would have come back if you didn't scalp out. But you can be wrong. You could have entered right here and you were a little bit early. But guess what? As long as your stop was above that, that's why we use the price action structure to hide our stops. And as long as your stop was above there, you were a little bit early, but look, you still would have caught this move all the way down. And guess what? This doesn't look very pretty here, but if you'd went short, you'd still be riding this down. But look what happened if you went long anywhere in there. You just got trapped. So, by staying with the trend, you can make mistakes that don't kill you, but if you're counter trend trading and make these mistakes, you either get stopped out or you're still holding on, begging and praying, please come back, please come back. And guess what? Some days it don't come back. This would probably be my target on that right there, and you can see we're getting real close. But it really wouldn't surprise me if we don't come down and touch this trend channel line again. But you got one leg there, a little correction, so it wouldn't surprise me. And maybe you even measure there because that's where the downtrend started again. So that gets us down to right in here. So we'll see how that works out. I'd be interested. But that's really all there was today. I mean, just on a day like this, I mean, you can see it. Prices start on the left side at a 45-degree angle. Perfect. That's a healthy trend, the kind you like to see. And we're just steadily heading lower. And there it goes. Gonna be curious just to see where this ends up. If we get another measured leg, we got one based on that. But I would say that was where the trend re-established itself. So if you get a measured move off that, it's gonna take it right to there, and that gets you pretty close, fairly close to the trend channel down here. But this is a great example of why you don't counter trend trade on days like this, because it will cost you. But anyway, not much else to talk about. That's pretty much it for today. I'm just kind of watching this to see what happens here. But easy trading day, easy money today, and I didn't make any mistakes today. I wasn't in sim mode thinking I was trading live, and I wasn't trading live thinking I was in sim mode or anything of that nature. So maybe we got April Fool's past us here. hopefully you didn't get fooled today and you stayed with the trend and made some good money, because these are easy days and it's hard to trust it, but trust me, when you get a strong trend like this, and like I said, some of the clues that this is a strong trend are the fact that, prices are going from the left-hand side to the right. Look at the EMA all down through there. It's down. Most all your price action is below the EMA. The first real break you got of the trend line was right here. And I guess if you measure that like there, that was the last close. So we may be done there. We'll see. And this doesn't mean we're going to get a reversal. It just means you're going to get a correction that lasts about an hour or more. And it could be a reversal, but it could be just a correction that lasts an hour or so and gets back over here and hits this and turns down again. Who knows? So don't be trying to buy it. I mean, that's just crazy. Until you start to get a trend going the other way, don't be buying. And you can see no trend going up here, no trend really going up here. It's just not worth trying to counter trend trade this stuff. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.